The story you're about to hear is true. Only the grammar and punctuation have been changed to protect the innocent.
He was in his office late at night. He was writing. There were 3 loud raps on the door. He scratched out sentences. He hid paper under the file cabinet. He pulled the paper from his typewriter and stuffed it in his mouth. The door exploded open and 2 men barged in. Both wore tweed sport coats with wrinkled copies of Strunk and White in breast pockets. They stood in the cloud of chalk dust, flailing their red flares. "Grammar police, drop the pen." They flashed their IDs. Both full professors, Harvard 56, Columbia 64. They yanked a piece of yellow second copy from his mouth and ransacked the drawers. "Run-ons," the older one said, scoring his pen over the wrinkled piece of paper. "Comma splices," the other man said. "Gerunds everywhere." They rolled the teacher away from the desk and faced him against the wall. "But I take a process-oriented approach," the teacher said. "Sure, buddy, we've heard that before. Spell necessary." "I'm not spelling anything till I see my lawyer." "Punctuate this sentence." They put a piece of paper into his lap. The man who was happy eating Wheaties liked other cereals too. "I'm not punctuating anything. How long have you been teaching at this university?" "A year." "Put it in a complete sentence." "I have been teaching at this university a year." "Put it in a pluperfect." "I taught..." "Book 'em." But this is only a first draft." "Sure, buddy, and we're going on our first little ride downtown. Maybe we can have a little talk with the spelling squad, too. Spell necessary." It begins with N-E." "Huh, you hear that, Joe? We got a real Phi Beta Kappa on our hands here." They laughed as they slid bits of crinkled paper into their manila envelopes. "You can't do this. There's nothing wrong with being ungrammatical as long as you do it in the privacy of your own room with a consenting piece of paper." They thumbed through their Strunk and Whites in unison. "Listen to this, meathead. There's no excuse for grammatical ambiguity. But what about content? What about purpose? What about subject? What about voice? What about me?" They clamped 2 steel parentheses over his wrists. "We'll deal with you. Don't worry." In the squad car on the way to the station, they asked him how he could expect to teach college freshmen to write when he could barely punctuate a sentence himself. He was silent, his mind recalling all the spelling bees from which he was eliminated in the first round, his eyes peering through the gallons of red ink to every essay he'd ever handed a teacher. "I was a victim of an ungrammatical childhood," he told the judge. "My mother, she spoke in fragments. My father, he always hesitated in mid-clause. In their eyes, I was parenthetical. I lived between the commas." The judge wore a commencement robe and mortarboard. Hanging from the tassels were dashes, semicolons, periods. "Spell necessary." "Hopeless." "No, necessary." "Impossible." "No, necessary." He looked up the word at least 3,000 times in his lifetime, and he still could not be sure if there were 1 C and 2 S's or 1 S and 2 C's. He closed his eyes and imagined the firing squad. 10 high school English teachers with horn-rimmed glasses and eraser-pink ears. His hooded body would slump meekly in the chair. "Long live meaning!" He'd cry at the last moment, "or substance over form forever." N-E-C. In his mind, there were 2 C's, but suddenly, at the very last moment, one of them floated away like a balloon into the stratosphere. E-S-S-A-R-Y, necessary. "Indeed necessary," the judge said. He was paroled the next morning and was last seen chasing run-ons through a parking lot in New Jersey.